You'd think that after 200,000 years on this planet, humans would pretty much know all about the creatures we share this rock with. Well, the recent sighting of an animal long thought to be extinct, or at least almost, only proves that Mother Nature always has some surprises in store. I'll start with the big news. A black leopard has been photographed in Africa for the first time in over a century. Hey, this is really a bombshell, because black leopards are extremely rare and live mostly in Southeast Asia. The cat's black coat is the result of melanism. This is a condition where the body has too much melanin, the pigment that determines your hair, skin, and eye color. Melanistic animals are basically the natural counterpart of albino creatures, which have a lack of this pigment. Well, about only 11% of leopards have melanism, and considering the fact that these animals are categorized as vulnerable in the first place, well, you can imagine how rare it is to see a black one in the wild. In Africa, though, no one has been able to prove its existence for over 100 years. The last time a published photograph was taken was in 1909 in Ethiopia. There have been plenty of sightings reported, but no actual footage provided. Kenyans in particular have been saying for a while now that they've witnessed this creature out and about at night. Now, just imagine seeing a spot of pure darkness separate itself from the black of night and disappear again. I'd be pretty freaked out, honestly. And locals seem to share my sentiment, because they dubbed the black-clad kitty the calf killer. So there were rumors and sightings for a long time, but no real evidence. That is, until Will Burrid-Lucas, a wildlife photographer from the UK, managed to snap these shots. Thanks to him, we finally know for sure that black leopards do exist in Africa. Hooray! But the black leopard isn't the only creature people thought were pretty much non-existent. And if these dark cats were at least rumored to roam the African plains, some animals were considered extinct altogether until they were rediscovered, much to everyone's amazement. One of the most fantastic beasts to have been found this way is the coelacanth. This prehistoric fish was believed to have been extinct for 65 million years until it was accidentally discovered among other fish caught by a trawler in South Africa in 1938. The most incredible thing about coelacanths is that they're considered a transitional step between actual fish and four-legged land creatures. That means their mere existence can be proof that all life on this planet began in the ocean. Can you even imagine that a creature so ancient could have survived up to this day? Incredible! Today, we know of two species of coelacanths. One inhabits the coastal waters of East Africa, and the other lives off the coast of Indonesia. They like to hang out at a depth of up to 2,300 feet, can grow up to 6.5 feet long, and weigh about 200 pounds. So yeah, you're gonna need a bigger boat. And would you just look at those creepy eyes? Although it's good to know that it's still alive and well, I don't think I'd ever want to come face to face with this big guy. Speaking of ocean dwellers, there's another one that was considered extinct up until very recently – Omura's whale, also known as the dwarf fin whale. Before 2015, none of these whales had ever been found. And up until 2003, they'd even been misclassified as a different whale species, Bride's whale. Since not too many of them have been found yet, we really don't have a lot of information about them. Scientists only know that at almost 38 feet long, they're quite small compared to other whales. And that's pretty much it. I mean, sure, it's no blue whale, but still, I wonder how such a huge thing could go undetected for so long. Maybe it took lessons from the next guy on my list. Meet the giant Palouse earthworm. He's a cutie pie for sure. These squirmy things have supposedly been extinct since the 1980s, but scientists found one adult specimen in 2005. 5 years later, Dr. Jody Johnson Maynard and Carl Umaker from the University of Idaho found another one in the soil of the gem state. Giant Palouse earthworms have a pretty specific taste in real estate. They only live in the prairie lands of Idaho and Washington, in a region known as the Palouse. These big white worms can grow up to 3 feet in length, although they're usually only about 1 foot long. Yeah, only. Now, picture digging in your backyard and finding a worm the size of your leg. Of course, I'm glad these things aren't extinct, but come on! A little detail that just might make you feel better about these humongous crawlers is that they smell like lilies. So, if you want to be original and surprise your mom on Mother's Day with an unusual gift, give her a bouquet of Palouse worms. I'm kidding, don't do that. Okay, whales can hide in the vastness of the ocean and huge earthworms avoid detection in the soil. So, how can you hide an elephant? I'm asking because in 2008, the World Wildlife Fund, or WWF, not the wrestling people, made an astonishing discovery. High up in the mountains of Borneo, there lives a whole colony of pygmy elephants that were thought to be extinct for almost 2 centuries. Experts believe that elephants from neighboring Java were brought to the island of Borneo by the Sultan of Sulu. Well, whether he meant to or not, he ended up saving these elements from actual extinction because they were being hunted and killed off in their homeland during the 18th century. There was no such practice on Borneo, so the Javan elephants managed to stay alive. Although there aren't that many of them, only about 1,000 that we know of today, it's still awesome that they're still around. What's even more fascinating about this discovery, though, is that it's the first successful elephant translocation in history. That means these little pachyderms are the first ever survivors of moving house. Way to go! There's another animal that deserves a pat on the back, or shell, for staying alive, and it's the Fernandina giant tortoise. This huge reptile was believed to have died out by 1906, and no signs of it were ever seen until February 17, 2019. A female was discovered in the Galapagos Islands by members of a non-profit called the Giant Tortoise Restoration Initiative. Scientists didn't even believe it was the Fernandina giant tortoise at first. But it was no mistake. An animal thought to have been extinct for over a century is now officially categorized as critically endangered, not extinct. Seems like a tiny step forward, but it's actually a huge leap. Just think about it. If there's a male out there, then the tortoises could reproduce and bring their numbers back up. Fingers crossed. Turning back to the insect kingdom, there's one absolutely unique creature that was thought to be completely wiped out. And that's no surprise, since it only inhabits one quite small area – Lord Howe Island off the coast of New South Wales, Australia. Well, I should say inhabited, because they went extinct in the 1960s, or so it was believed. I'm talking about the Lord Howe Island stick insect, also known as the tree lobster. Doesn't look like any lobster I've ever seen, but hey, that's just me. Anyway, like I said, in the middle of the 20th century, these critters were considered extinct, even though there had been quite a lot of them on the island just 100 years prior. But people suspected the tree lobsters could somehow be hiding on Ball's Pyramid, a nearby island some 12.5 miles from Lord Howe Island. It's actually more of a volcanic rock formation, and it's so steep that not too many people dared climb it just to find out whether or not this bug was hiding up there. Plus, in 1984, authorities made it illegal to explore the peak, except for purely scientific purposes. Well, in 2001, scientists did decide to brave the rock and scour it one last time. But if you think they did it to find the tree lobster, you'd be wrong. They went there to prove there weren't any of them left alive. So, imagine their shock when they actually found a couple of these stick insects in a small bush on a sheer wall of volcanic rock. The bush was home to an entire colony of tree lobsters, 24 specimens to be exact. Once they were successfully rescued from Ball's Pyramid, Australia took them under its wing, and they now are no longer critically endangered. Well, if there's one creature that clings to survival like crazy, it's the Lord Howe Island stick insect. Kinda makes you teary. So, what other amazing animal discoveries do you know about? Share them in the comments down below. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button to stay on the bright side of life.